The night was unusually silent in the remote village of Raven Hollow, a place whispered about in hushed tones among travelers and locals alike. No one dared venture into the dense forest that stretched beyond the old, crumbling cemetery, yet people often reported strange shadows moving between the twisted trees. One stormy evening, a young journalist named Emily, driven by curiosity and ambition, decided to uncover the truth behind the countless disappearances that had plagued the village for decades. Armed with only a flashlight, a recorder, and a camera, she approached the abandoned mansion at the edge of the forest, a structure that locals claimed was cursed. The mansion's iron gates creaked as she pushed them open, revealing a courtyard overgrown with weeds and broken statues that seemed to stare at her with lifeless eyes. The front door was ajar, and as she stepped inside, a chilling cold swept over her, as if the house itself had exhaled a warning. Every floorboard groaned under her weight, echoing through the empty hallways. The air smelled of decay and burnt wood, yet there was something else, something sweet and metallic, like blood mixed with honey. Emily moved cautiously, following the faint sound of whispers that seemed to rise from the walls themselves. The whispers grew louder, shaping into words she could barely comprehend. Leave. Now. Or stay. Forever. She froze as the chandelier above her began to sway violently. Though no breeze disturbed the air, her flashlight flickered, revealing ghostly figures appearing and disappearing in the shadows. Desperate to escape, she ran up the grand staircase, only to find herself in a room she had not seen before, filled with mirrors reflecting not her own image, but scenes of unspeakable horrors, faces twisted in agony, hands clawing through the glass as if trying to break free. One mirror, larger and framed in black and gold, held a figure that moved independently of her actions. It was a man, tall and hollow-eyed, pointing directly at her. Emily's heart pounded as she realized the figure was Auntie in the room, but inside the mirror itself, waiting. She turned to leave, but the door had vanished, replaced by a wall of endless mirrors, each reflecting versions of herself in torment. The whispers became screams, deafening and urgent. She ran blindly, only to be pulled into one of the mirrors as her own reflection reached out, grabbing her wrist with an icy grip. Suddenly, she was no longer in the mansion, but in a dark void where shadows of the mansion floated around her, and ghostly voices recounted their deaths over and over. She could hear children crying, men begging, women screaming, all trapped, all forgotten. Emily realized that the mansion was alive, feeding on fear, trapping souls in a mirror realm where time did not exist. Panicking, she tried to run, but discovered she had no body, only a shadowed version of herself, powerless. Then, a voice unlike any other whispered directly into her mind. The house chooses its guests carefully, but once you see what lies within, you belong here. She felt herself being pulled into the largest mirror again, and as she struggled, her reflection smiled cruelly, absorbing her completely. But the horror did not end there. In the void, Emily began to notice faint shapes moving in the darkness, other trapped souls, some barely human, their features twisted and grotesque, eternally repeating the last moments of their lives. Whispers transformed into urgent warnings. Beware the mirrors. They younger. Shadows coalesced into forms that reached for her, brushing against her shadowed skin, and she realized that fear itself was a physical force here, tightening around her chest with each heartbeat. She tried to scream, but no sound emerged. A new sensation appeared, a cold, creeping dread crawling from the base of her skull to her fingertips. Almost like the mansion itself was testing her, measuring how much terror she could endure before fully consuming her. Suddenly, in the distance, she saw a faint glimmer of light, and for a moment, hope sparked in her shadowed heart. She ran, weaving between endless corridors of mirrors, following the flickering light that promised escape. But with each step, the light seemed to retreat, teasing her, twisting the reflections to show her deepest fears. Faces of loved ones screaming, corridors filled with fire, walls closing in. Exhausted, she collapsed, realizing that the mansion thrived on her desperation, on the fleeting hope that kept her alive just enough to be tormented further. The void pulsed with energy, whispers now chanting her name, Emily. 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 And she understood fully there would be no escape, only an endless cycle of terror, reflection, and despair. The next morning, The villagers noticed the mansion was silent, more silent than usual. Emily's camera and recorder were found in the courtyard, still recording, but when played back, only the sound of whispers could be heard, repeating endlessly. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Years later, travelers would claim to see a young woman standing at the mansion's windows, staring out with hollow eyes, as if trapped in another world, silently screaming for someone to release her. But no one could, for the mansion had claimed her, and it was patient, waiting for the next curious soul, brave enough or foolish enough to enter. And in the dead of night, when the wind moaned through the twisted trees, some said they could hear the faintest sound of footsteps behind them, whispering the name Emily, as if calling out for company in the eternal darkness of Raven Hollow.